Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Trumpet's Call. I'm Maria. I pray that you were holding on to faith, amunah, and holding on to hope during these times. Thank you for joining me once again on the channel and for another session of our Sista Chat. And today's session of our Sista Chat is going to be very brief and straight to the point. I am taking a break off from doing a Shabbat message this week, so we will not be having a Shabbat message. But the Father of Yahuah did want me to come on and do this video about our need to prepare our hearts, our minds, our homes, our pantries, and whatever else you need to prepare for the times that are at hand. If you have been watching the news and seeing the things that have been going on, you know that something different is happening in these disunited states and in the world, really. If you've been watching and if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you can see that something different is happening here. And so the Most High wanted me to come on and just give a brief reminder that 2 years ago, I believe, I began giving warnings about the things that were coming, and others, I'm not the only one, others have been giving warnings as well about the things that the Father has warned us to prepare for. Our deliverance is soon to come. But before we are delivered out of Babylon, we're going to see some measure of Babylon's judgment. We're going to be here for it. Just as our ancestors were there for the judgments in Egypt, we're going to be here to witness at least some of the judgments in Babylon. And there are things that we need to do to prepare when the infrastructure is broken, when there's war afoot, when there's invasion, when there are balloons, this time that may have a payload that actually explodes. When all of these things are happening, the Father wants us prepared spiritually, first of all, physically and emotionally. Prepare your hearts, prepare your minds. If you have not purchased additional supplies, canned foods and non-perishable foods, please, I implore you, do so. If you don't have the means to do so, ask the Father how He is planning for you to be cared for, what means. And if He doesn't share it with you, just trust that He means for you to be taken care of, that your lack of resources is not going to prevent Him from taking care of you. Trust and believe. But for those of you who have the ability to prepare, prepare. And prepare enough to share, because you may be that person that the Father uses to help sustain someone who does not have the resources to prepare. And I've been saying this, I feel like, for a while now, but every time I say it, the Father keeps telling me to remind. And so that is what I'm doing. I'm just being obedient. The time has come that we're going to see some things we've never seen before. Their airspace was violated. This is not a fluke, it's not an accident. It's a sign of the removal of the hand of protection that this country has experienced. It's been removed, and the Father is allowing the enemy from the north to come in. And they're coming in angry, and they're coming to take what belongs to them. For the borrower is servant unto the lender, and this country is in deep, deep debt, as you all well know. So I'm not going to belabor the point. I just want you to remember, prepare. Prepare your hearts, get in the Father's presence and stay there. Don't leave. Worship, praise, read your word. Prepare yourself to experience things that you've never seen before. And by all means, trust that the Most High is going to take care of His beloved. After this, brothers and sisters, comes our deliverance. As Babylon is destroyed, we go out. So we rejoice in the goodness of the Most High. We rejoice. Though we may see war and famine, we rejoice. I had a dear sister message me this week, and her mother had a dream. And I'm going to share the dream with you and allow you to hear her describing the dream to you. And then I'm going to give you what insights I believe the Father has given to me regarding this dream.
Hi, Maria. Well, this is Benita. But last night I dreamed that I looked out the window wherever I was living. It wasn't here, but I looked out the window and there was a huge cow standing on his feet, and he was grabbing another animal. It looked like I want to say it was a pig. But he grabbed this other animal out and he was killing this animal. But then after he did that, he started going to doors, like people's homes, and he was knocking on the door and killing the people. And I just remember in the dream, like it was pretty short for me. Something woke me up, but I remember in the dream how I was saying, well, he's not going to get us, like just be quiet, and he's not going to get us. And we were really like trying to run from this cow, but the cow was on 2 feet, and he was just going from door to door, knocking on the door. And they said, if he knock on your door, he's going to kill you. And that's pretty much the extent. I just started telling Danita about it, and she wanted me to share it with you, but I just thought that was wow. That was really different from any dream I've ever had in my life, to see an animal killing humans standing on his 2 feet. So Danita wanted me to share it with you, so there it is. Shalom.
Immediately after hearing the dream, I just got quiet before the Most High. And it is the Most High who gives interpretations of dreams. It is His wisdom and His insight. So I sought the Most High. I said, Father, what do these things mean? And I got quiet. And immediately my mind ran upon a dream that a king had in the scriptures. And I'm going to read that to you before we move further. We'll be reading in Genesis chapter 41. And it came to pass, at the end of 2 full years, that Pharaoh dreamed. And behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine. Kine is a word for cows, female bovine, cows, and fat-fleshed, meaning fat and healthy. And they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine, cows, came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, meaning they were not doing very well. They were like skinny cows. They were not very well fed, and stood by the other cows upon the brink of the river. And it goes on to say that the 7 skinny cows ate the 7 fat cows. And Pharaoh had this dream, and he could not figure out what it meant. So he needed someone to give him the interpretation. And so the Most High granted our ancestor Joseph that interpretation. And then the Pharaoh was able to make accommodations as a result of the dream. But let's go on to read, beginning at verse 28. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What Yahuah is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land, and the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following, for it shall be very grievous. Okay, so when I heard the dream, this is immediately what I thought of. I see the Most High using the reference here of the cow representing famine. We also saw a pig in the dream. And we know that there are many people in the Americas who eat cow flesh and also eat pig's flesh. The cow attacked the pig, meaning the meat supply, the food supply would be attacked. And the cow represented famine. Famine walking in the land, knocking on every door, and those affected by famine die. This is what the Most High showed me in this dream. And Sister Danita's mother, Vanita, had this dream, and the Most High was very clear in the dream as he was indicating to her that these things are coming. Others have had similar dreams and similar warnings that these things were coming. But this is recent. This happened very recently. So the warnings are becoming more urgent to those who have not prepared to prepare. So the significance of this dream is that you did not see 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. You saw this cow. She said it was huge. It was a huge cow, and it was walking throughout the land. So it didn't look like a sickly cow. It was a healthy looking cow. And that is the deception, that the famine comes in the midst of what people think is a time of plenty. The cow looks like it's a fat-fleshed cow. It looks like it should be bringing times of plenty, times of joy, times of happiness, but really it's a disguise. Famine walks in the midst of a time where people believe that there are happy times, that we're in a time of plenty, when really it's a time of lack in disguise. And when this two-legged cow begins to walk the land, there will be no denying the time that we're in. This is the judgment of the Most High. This is His doing. He's bringing it. Okay? So just as He brought famine to Egypt before, He's going to bring famine to Egypt again. And indeed, the whole world. The whole world, where Babylon holds sway, where Babylon holds control and influence, where Babylon holds his people captive. Famine, war, civil unrest, horror upon horror upon horror is coming. And our job is to prepare. And I have done many videos on this subject. I even have a playlist, and I will link the playlist in the description box so you can check those videos out if you desire to do so. The words of wisdom and words of knowledge that the Most High has given me regarding this time, I will include in those playlists. And of course, this video is coming out as a more recent reminder to prepare. Some of you may be thinking, I don't have to do anything because the Father's going to take care of me. He takes care of the sparrow. Why wouldn't He take care of me? Good point. Good question. And I would say that anyone who thinks those thoughts in light of the Father giving them warning is not a very wise servant. Our job is not to second guess how the Father takes care of us. Our job is to obey and do what He says. The Father gave Pharaoh warning that 7 years of famine was coming to Egypt. What if Pharaoh had said, well, this God of the Hebrews, He's going to take care of me. He's going to take care of me. I don't have to do anything. He needed to prepare, and we need to prepare. So be a wise and obedient servant. Prepare. The time is late. Inflation has already set in. The prices of things have begun to skyrocket. Prepare now. There's going to be a time coming when you will not be able to go into grocery stores and buy food. You will not. This country will look war-torn. Trust and believe it's coming. Okay? The balloons that are flying over the skies and being shot down. This is a form of predictive programming. They're getting the people of the United States comfortable with the idea of missiles shooting things down. They're becoming comfortable with it. They're requesting it. Shoot it down, shoot it down. It's predictive programming. So be aware. These things are coming. They know it's coming. It's an inside job, so to speak. But the Father will cause these things to work in accordance with His will, as Babylon will be betrayed into the hands of her enemies. Those who pretend to be her friends under the table are really her enemies, and she doesn't have eyes to see nor ears to hear and understand that she's been betrayed. But we who live in the midst of this system are called to come out of it. So as much as you can, come out of the systems. Come out of her. Come out of her sinful ways. Come out of her, my people. Come out. Stand on the outskirts of Babylon and watch her burn. And look up, for your redemption draweth nigh. Brothers and sisters, I wanted to just clarify that by sharing this information with you, in no way do I want you to think that physical preparation is more important than spiritual preparation. And even beyond preparations, right now is the time for us to really seek the Father's face. I mean, really get into intimate relation with Him. Spend time in His presence. Spend time reading the scriptures. Spend time in praise and worship. We really should be exercising our praise muscles right now because we are Judah, and Judah is the tribe of praise. And we were created to praise the Father, to worship the Father. And when we go back into the land, we're not going to go back into the land just to sit on a log. We're going back to get busy about the Father's business, but also to be worshipers of the Most High. So let's practice here in captivity. If we can't praise Him now, when we look forward to the day that He gets us out of here, we're certainly not going to be able to do it when we get back into the land and things are more comfortable there. So let's practice now. There's one other thing I wanted to mention to you before I let you go for the day. I received an email from a sister, and she wanted me to just share some information with you, and that is what I'm doing. I'm going to just be the intermediary and share this information so that you can be aware of what's going on. Some of you may have heard that recently Governor DeSantis blocked some African American studies in the state of Florida, and many of our people were up in arms about his decision to block that curriculum in schools. But what many of them don't realize is that in order to participate in this program, there's a curriculum that must be in place in order for the schools to participate, in order to receive this AP designation. And in this curriculum, there's all sorts of things in here that you do not want your children learning about with regard to the LGB. You know what the rest is. And there's all of this in there. And so essentially, it's a way to indoctrinate and enculturate our children to accept this type of lifestyle. So I'm going to urge you to be prayerful and mindful if you live in the state of Florida. And even if you don't, these types of programs are not isolated just to the state of Florida. They're popping up in other places in the country as well, because Babylon and those who hate us know that if they can get us trapped in sin, if they can embroil us in sin and debauchery, the Father won't come to rescue us. They know that. And so they are trying their hardest to distract us and to keep us out of prayer, to keep us from congregating with one another, to keep us from searching out our identity, and to keep us from educating our children in the way that they should go, so that when they are old, they will not depart from it. It is very important, brothers and sisters, that you be as wise as serpents, but as harmless as doves, especially with regard to the next generation, our children. And I'm just going to go out and say this. It might be time for you to look into homeschooling your children. Why send them every day into a cesspool of information that most of which are based on lies? They're not even true. I read somewhere in one state, they were teaching the children that slavery was a choice. And another school district, they're teaching children that it wasn't slavery, it was indentured servitude, as if the people came over here by choice. Our people came over here by choice. You really, really, really want to be in prayer, educating your own children yourself, okay? So that you can teach them the truth about their identity, about their heritage, and about true history, not history that we've been told Babylon style. So as you pray about these things, and as you look into the truth of these matters, think about your children. And think about how hard it is for them, day in and day out, going into these wicked institutions, trying to hold on to their faith. Help them. Give them a heads up and a hand out to reach out to them to say, come, daughter, come, son, let me take you out of this. Let me bring you home, and let me teach you myself. And even if you have a full-time job, if you pray and ask the Most High, He will help you to figure it out. He will. He's faithful that way. The Father is warning us. He's instructing us to prepare for the things ahead. The last thing we want is for our children to be part of institutions that could be targets for things to come. Really, brothers and sisters, be prayerful about pulling your children out and teaching them yourself. And with regard to this LGB designation in schools and the requirements, I'm going to include some information in the description box, and you can go there and read more about what the requirements are and about what our children are actually learning. So on this day, I pray that you would spend time in the Most High's presence, that you would allow Him to instruct you and teach you and show you things that you do not know. It's wonderful to receive a lesson and a teaching from someone called to do these things, but it is even better to allow the Father to teach you directly himself. It's even better for the Father to show you things out of his law and have those things resonate in your ruach, just between you and him. It's a really special thing. It's a really special relationship that you have with him and that you should be nurturing and building up. Hallelujah. So I will leave you to the rest of your Shabbat day. I pray that it's a day of rest for you. And I will leave that video playlist in the description box if you want to check out some of these older videos with similar warnings about things that were coming, things that are coming. And it's becoming closer and closer and closer. We can hear the drum beats ever louder, ever louder. One day, just like with 9/11, one day, all of a sudden, everything is going to change. And people will be scrambling, thinking, what do I do now? What do I do? What do I do? But for the righteous and the obedient, they will have all of her house in order because they will have heard the voice of the Most High telling them years ago to prepare, and they will have obeyed. I implore you, obey the word of the Most High for us today. Prepare. And not only prepare for the times that are coming that we must endure here, also prepare for when we leave. When we leave, there may be a time that we have a wilderness experience and we may need to grab a backpack and get out quickly. We don't know. We could have angels come and knock on the door and say, it's time to go. Grab a bag, let's go. Have that ready. Live in preparation for our gathering. Live in the hope of it. Prepare here while we're in Egypt, in Babylon, but live with eager expectation to the day that we're going to be gathered out of here. And just in case, prepare a bag, a bug-out bag, a backpack, something with some supplies, change of clothing, and things of that nature, some cash just in case. And if you don't know how to prepare a quote-unquote bug-out bag, Google it. There are instructions all over the place on how to do that. You can even purchase them already pre-prepared. But I recommend putting together your own so that you can make them specific to your own needs and circumstances. And also, be sure to pack one for your children. They have needs as well. So be thinking about these things, be praying about these things, and ask the Most High to show you what you need to do to prepare. But by all means, prepare. At the very least, get into his presence so he can speak to your heart regarding what he would have you do in this hour. With that said, I'm going to leave you to the rest of your day. I pray that the Most High Yahuah would baruch and keep you, that he would bless and keep you, and that he would make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and that he would lift up his countenance upon you and grant you shalom, peace, and that you would not be worried or afraid. Prepared, yes, but not worried. For out of this trauma, out of this trouble, out of the trials and out of the tribulation comes our deliverance. We don't have to be afraid. We have to prepare, but we don't have to be afraid. So fear not, little flock. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Shalom and shalom, brothers and sisters.